Welcome to Beyond Mindset Limits with Tisha Marie Cain. Here, we explore how unlocking your mindset can pave the way for unlimited success. Discover how to create opportunities through legal challenges and transform your business and life with effective public relations strategies. Get ready to elevate your journey and maximize your potential. Now, let's welcome your host, Tisha Marie Cain.
Well, you guys are here with Beyond Mindset Limits. This is Tisha Marie Cain. This is my radio show. And today we have two amazing guests. We are joined by these two extraordinary women whose work lives at the intersection of art, archetype, intuition, and the unseen. Blue of Earth and Lily Ashwell are the co-creators of Heavenly Bodies Tarot, a hand-illustrated deck born through devotion, symbolism, transformation, and the inner listening. This is more than a tarot deck, though, you guys. It is an invitation to remembrance, self-inquiry, and a deeper relationship with the soul's journey. Let's begin. I'm here with these two magical beings, Blue and Lily, and thank you, and welcome to Beyond Mindset Limits. Welcome to the show.
Yahoo!
Good. We're going to just dive right in. Lily, Blue, whoever feels compelled to answer. Heavenly Bodies Tarot feels less like a product and more like a living body of work. What was the deeper prayer or intention behind creating this deck together? Between you guys are best friends. What was that deeper intention?
I had created a deck previously, an astrology deck, Heavenly Bodies Astrology, and that was a solo project. And I knew I didn't want to go into that solo portal on my own. And Blue was the only person that I knew I could co-create something so intimately with and so authentically. And it was a personal desire to tap into my oracular channel alongside someone else. And Blue was the only person I knew I had that kind of relationship with.
I love that. What about you, Blue?
Listen, I had no idea what I was getting myself into when we agreed together. Neither of us did. Lily has made a very successful astrology deck called Heavenly Bodies Astrology. And I actually got to know Lily because of her deck first and foremost. So before Lily was even my friend or even in my orbit, I had a reading from somebody. I was in Greece on the other side of the planet. And somebody gave me this reading with this astrology deck. And I was like, who made this deck? The wording, the artistry, the intention, the colors, everything about it screamed authentic depth. And I definitely felt the experiences, got connected through her deck. And then so after a while of our friendship, she was like, would you like to make a tarot deck? And I was thinking, listen, in theory, this sounds lovely. I have no idea what it's going to ask of me, but I'm in and let's do it. And we had no idea that it would take us almost 3 years to complete everything by hand, 78 original pieces of artwork, 220 pages in a book, 78 prayers. I mean, it is, and then that's just the packaging alone and just the whole concept of it. It feels to me like it has been woven by fate and has revealed its intention ultimately to us over time. But what we really pride ourselves in with this work is that in the rise of AI right now, anybody and their mama can be an artist through a couple of prompts. And we created, this entire body of work with a pencil, with a paintbrush, and with words to a page. And that's why it took us so long. And yet in this time right now, we feel like it's a relic in a homage to the creative process and what that really truly is for the individual soul.
Wow. Holy moly. This is, for me, it feels like birthing a baby. Like you guys have spent, but this is even bigger, like 3 years of, in gestation and birthing this baby. And then now, congratulations, both of you. I don't know if anyone has ever told you that yet, but congratulations in birthing this baby to the universe and to this time space continuum that we're in right now. I'm so excited to get this deck in my hands and invest in that and invest in you girls, because I know it really is an act of love. So thank you for that. So
we've mentioned it as like, I think we're in the crowning right now, like we're having a baby and it's crowning.
Exactly. Okay, so both of you are devoted to the unseen forces that shape human experience. What made this tarot the right vessel for this next expression of heavenly bodies?
I think Blue and I both have been on a devoted path of healing for the last 10 plus years. And I feel through astrology and now tarot, I understand the journey of healing that all humans are on as we devote ourselves to greater self-awareness and empowerment in this life. And astrology helps us understand the meticulous and intentional design of our unique soul and incarnation. And the tarot anchors this map into story and into the hero's journey. And so for me personally, I felt, and I think I can speak for both of us, we felt very called to tell the journey of what it means to be human through the archetypes of the tarot, and to shed light on the truth, which is that even when we're going through trying times and moving through challenge and difficulty, nothing's wrong. This is just a part of the process of becoming who it is we came here to be. And I think that the archetypal patterns that we discover through the tarot remind us that things aren't supposed to be easy and perfect and pretty all of the time. And the Tower card, which is about destruction, that's a part of what it means to become who it is we came here to be.
Wow. I love that. And I love how you go deep into the astrology as well, to kind of map that across and bridge that across for someone who, being here on planet Earth is kind of hard and difficult sometimes, to have your deck show us that it's okay to go through all of that. So thank you for that. Oh my gosh. Your work both points people back to that inner authority rather than that outside prediction. How did you want the deck to support remembrance rather than a dependency?
I think it is so important to have clear mirrors in our life so that we can put our eyes back inwards. And by nature, our eyes point outwards, and we're looking outside of ourselves to fulfill some sort of itch or fulfill some sort of worthiness or fulfill some sort of happiness. And we're constantly looking for something like money or more love or more community or more for me to fill this deep itch inside of my being. And we're sort of like conditioned and programmed to look outside of ourselves to keep consuming, and realizing that it's a bottomless pit. The more we consume, the more we want, and it just keeps this hamster wheel moving. And I think that the true journey of self-awareness is when we can actually have mirrors, whether it's through tarot or astrology or going through workshops or having honest friends that are really genuinely want our growth as opposed to our comfort, and coddling us in sort of our stories as opposed to supporting us with our evolution. And the tarot is one of many tools that allow us to actually ask deeper questions for us to have our own breakthroughs and our own realization. The magic isn't in the tarot. Yes, this is a very magical deck. The magic lies within us for us to have the ability to actually self-assess and have necessary prompts or prayers to guide us in a way that sends our energy inwards, as opposed to looking for things outside of ourselves to fulfill something that can never be fulfilled from the outside. And so I believe we're going through an evolutionary shift right now where we're starting to ask ourselves the deeper questions and realizing that there's nothing outside of us that's going to save us. The tarot isn't going to save us, neither is the government. However, the tarot is asking necessary questions and giving us a sense of guidance so that we can actually sit in the contemplation of our life while we are creating certain suffering in our own personal experience. And so that's where we're not creating a codependence on the tarot, because we're highlighting the magic that actually lies within us as human beings on planet Earth. And it's a tool that helps us to have a deeper level of self-awareness so that we can refine the way that we show up in life and actually start living heart forward, as opposed to constantly projecting unconscious wounding out into the world.
Wow. That was that landed for me because I used astrology to understand why I do what I do. And I'm a triple Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. So I was so strict on like, right? So I used astrology to understand and unravel, oh, okay, this is how I do it. This is why I do it. And allowing myself the freedom to just like stop all the spreadsheets. Like, no, we're not doing this anymore. So I love your perspective, Blue, because it really landed for me on connecting those dots in my brain. So that was great. That was really good. Okay, so this deck seems rooted in that archetypal wisdom, but also in lived initiation. How much of your own transformation is embedded in these cards?
I mean, like I said, Blue and I have both been on a path of devoted healing, and you know, we all of us are confronted with situations that feel impossible and challenging. It's just a part of what it means to be human. But not feeling victimized by the things that we feel most challenged by is a real point of focus for Blue and I in our personal evolution. So that practice of trusting life and choosing an empowered perspective is something that we are both in a daily practice around. And again, astrology and the tarot are really practical frameworks for how to engage with life's challenges through an empowered lens. So I would say without my own personal challenges, which primarily over the last decade or so have been a lot of health related issues, and without moving through that initiation, I don't know that I would have a firsthand kind of relationship with some of the challenging archetypes that the tarot presents.
Gosh, that's so good. Okay. Wow. Okay. You both speak the language of symbol, psyche, and soul. When you begin this collaboration together, what shared understanding did you have about this deck and what it was truly going to be here to do? Did you even talk about it? Did you even say, okay, we have this big intention, or did you just, I want to know like behind the scenes, like, okay, you're just going to do the thing, or was there some set intentions on, okay, here's our focus, this is where we're going? What was that deeper understanding of what you wanted the deck to be?
This deck revealed itself to us. There's so much that we can think of that have never been done before, and we can project our mental image into the future and go, these are the colors for the Pinterest board, and this is the vibe. And we would do a meditation next to each other, and we'd come out of the meditation and we'd both say gold foil, and we would like get the same thing, but it was revealing itself to us. And we genuinely, you know, our humans were like, can we do this? Do we have the right skills? Do we have enough time or do we have enough follow through to see this through? This is not a small body of work. And at the beginning, the trajectory we thought would about a year to completion. And it took us 3 years to complete because we realized that the artwork wanted to be way more intricate than what we had planned. And so, yes, there is an element of showing up and saying, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to work for this time from this time, and we're going to schedule it. You know all about this, because you're a triple Virgo. So you've got the masculine energy of anchoring it into your schedule and showing up. But then when we showed up and we actually started putting pen to paper or pencil to paper or watercolor to paper, we started to meet something that revealed itself through the artwork into our reality. And what was truly potent for us to witness was that we actually started living inside of the tarot. So for anybody that never heard of the tarot or don't know what the tarot is, and you don't even know what archetypes are, it's a reference point of just any different human emotion that we go through. There can be grief, and there can be grace, and there can be ecstasy, and there can be comparison. And these are all different emotions that present themselves in the human experience. And now there's 78 cards. And we would come to the studio and we'd sit down with our pencil and paper. And today we're drawing about the energy. It's so niche. The energy of getting locked by our own systems and then becoming so attached to money that we've actually offered our freedom as a result of that. So we're no longer free and we need to draw this energy. And we're sitting there drawing this energy, and either someone that we know deeply in love or ourselves are going through that exact energy that we were drawing that day. And we felt like how it was synced up, we felt like we were living inside of the tarot. And for us to really, truly create it from a place of lived experience, we had to live through all of the archetypes and the energies ourselves. And so we were coming to the artwork. And I remember at one point, I was like, Lily, I can't do this anymore. I cannot draw this person that's feeling like they're going insane, because in my current life, I feel like I'm going insane a little bit. And so it was definitely confronting, and it was extremely mystical in the sense that there's only so much that we could think about or project into what we thought that it was going to be. Like I said, we thought it was 1 year, it turned into 3 years. But I can tell you right now, if you said you're asking for the behind the scenes nitty gritty, Lily and I moved from being new friends to being family to being like honest sisters. And we talked about this earlier. It's like we had the ability to genuinely like sort of like have a little bit of like a tension between us, and then we got really good at like rupture repair and then becoming even deeper on the other side of it. And so I think that a process like this, sitting side by side with two artists with individual visionary creation or creative ways to come together and to work on the same art consistently for 3 years, you're either never going to want to speak to each other ever again, or you're going to be bonded for life. And we're blessed enough to have been made it for bonded for life and made it out on the other side. But it's definitely not been easy, but it is 100% been worth it.
Do you share that same sentiment, Lily?
Definitely. Yeah, I would say the journey that Blue and I have been on individually and in our friendship, it has been completely inextricably woven with the creation of this deck. It's been very alive for us.
Oh, I love that word, alive. Yeah. Because that's kind of neutralizes it, right? I mean, for myself, I sat down and did 100 days of art and I had all the crap come up. I'm like, oh, you're no artist, and right? All the noise was there. So to have you say it was very much alive, like, whew, that's like crescendo, So wow, you girls. I'm just so impressed with, I mean, I folded at 100 days. You guys went three. So it's so good. So good. Okay, Lily, your work has always treated symbolic art as mirrors. And Blue talked about that earlier, for self-inquiry rather than systems of prediction. How did the philosophy shape the writing and the illustration on this deck?
Well, again, with my background being astrology, everyone always wants to know about the future. They want to know like what's around the corner. When am I going to fall in love? When am I going to get my dream job? And with my work with astrology, I try to teach that fate and free will exist side by side, and that there is a highest potential for our life, and there is everything in between that and the shadow expression of our lives. And it's with our own free will that we align with a particular timeline. And so again, it's through choosing a lens of empowerment, and it's through how we meet fear and challenges that we either rise into a higher timeline or or rest in that shadow state. And with the tarot, you know, most people think of it as a predictive tool, you know, like, oh, you know, should I say yes to this job? You know, what's going to happen if I say yes to the job? And they'll pull a tarot card. But it's not as simple as that. It's more about like our relationship to the thing. And so I really want to introduce the idea that the future isn't fixed, and it's more about the mindset and the energy through which we approach life and meet life that sets us on a particular trajectory. And we wove astrology very much into this deck, and we really placed some intention behind teaching in a in-depth yet simple way the structure of the tarot and how it corresponds and relates to astrology, and how these two systems kind of speak to each other. And that was another real intention of mine, is to, instead of it just being a deck of cards that have a bunch of random characters on the face of each card, we both really wanted to honor the system and the system that's woven into each of these archetypes. And so our artwork is very symbolically accurate, you might say. So if you know nothing about the High Priestess and you look at the High Priestess card and you don't read the description in the book, we invite you to explore what the imagery evokes, because the imagery is going to tell you a lot about what that card represents. And we spent a lot of time kind of designing the imagery so that it could relay a message that maybe words might fall short on.
I love that. I love the weaving of the two, the astrology and the tarot. That, I think that's what's sexy to me, is like, can I have my hands on these decks already? I want to say, you know, just to know what you girls have been able to weave together and birth out into the world. I just think it's so fantastic. And there was a moment in my life where I used the tarot to, like, where am I going? What am I doing? Do I stay in California or do I move to Las Vegas? What do I do? Right. And I just took a tarot and pulled it out, and it said, take a risk, or something along the lines of that. I said, okay, I guess we're moving. And we moved our whole life on that. And it was the best thing we had ever done. So having you intersect the two, the tarot and astrology together, for me, it's going to be able to have like a deeper learning that I haven't had before. So I'm excited for that. So thank you. Okay, Blue, your work speaks so beautifully to frequency and vibration and emotionally alchemizing things. How did your personal journey, especially your relationship to sound, silence, energy, shape the soul of this deck as you went through it?
Well, there's so many things that happened when we started making this deck. Lily healed herself from Lyme's disease, and I found my life partner, and I bought my first home, and we went traveling around the world to the most sacred sites. We went to Egypt and the River Nile and Glastonbury tour in the UK, and bathed in the White Springs, and we spent 10 days in isolation in the Amazon jungle in tree houses. Like we lived life. And during that time, I also lost my hearing. I became legally deaf. I was hard of hearing for about a decade prior to that, but I did cross the threshold over into becoming legally deaf. And there's definitely a rite of passage that happens when someone is just having a hard time hearing and needing someone to repeat themselves, and then just like not being in the realm of communication. And people may think, well, how are you having this conversation right now? There are captions on the screen, and that's how I'm being able to communicate. And so you talk about sound and vibration, and ultimately, whether I liked it or not, it was the choiceless choice. I was catapulted into the realm of frequency. And what do we talk about when we say frequency? Well, everything in life vibrates at a certain frequency. Every atom vibrates at a certain frequency. Every single thought, word, emotion, everything that's going on inside of our body, or 30 trillion cells of our body, are vibrating at a certain frequency. And when one sense is dampened or taken away, or I say taken away, but suppressed, the energy has to go elsewhere, and it went into just feeling the world of frequency. And it definitely has been the hardest rite of passage in my life to become deaf in my 30s after having my hearing my whole life. And Lily's been there with me, like really, really challenging. And the thing that was the soothing balm for me throughout this process of making the deck was that we got to sit in a beautiful art studio looking over the mountains in silence, sitting side by side and making art. And what a beautiful companion outside of my friendship with Lily. But the tarot was a companion for me while I was moving through some of the deepest grief I've ever experienced. And I felt like I got to continue to see the beauty that was living inside of me through the art that was appearing on the page, and knowing that that still lived inside of me, even when my confidence had been obliterated overnight. I still had my friendship with Lily, who has been tremendously patient and kind and compassionate for me throughout the process. And patient, I put emphasis on patience, because I think to make art by hand now, it takes patience. And to be friends with somebody that you are welcoming in rupture and repair, because that's inevitably, if you get deep into a friendship or deep into a relationship, you're going to have to get good at repairing, because that's just what happens. And she has graced me with the patience of repair during this very, very challenging time in my life. So the tarot also showed me, it was a mirror to me of inviting me to trust the process, inviting me to continue to hold the space for my grief and allow myself to fully feel it. And it was a companion for me to continue to see the beauty that still lived inside of me through the art that showed up, and then also to know who my people are and who my allies are. When it wasn't the highlight reel, when it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, when it was really in the depth of my own suffering and my own sadness around processing the death of my old life and welcoming in the new one. So I just am forever grateful for this process. And I know, because everything's been made by hand, this whole process is now woven into every single symbol and every single brushstroke and every single pencil mark. And if you look at one card in of itself, it could be a compilation of 10,000 brushstrokes to create that one piece of artwork. And they're thinking about the process that we're moving through to then put that pencil down on that paper. And this is the difference of something churned out by AI, and something like overnight, and something that has taken 3 years to create, and all of the death, purification, rebirth, integration, initiations of life that is poured into this box that then people can have around the world in their hands.
Wow. Please forgive me for being emotional in all of that vibration of your words, because I comprehend that, getting good at repair when you're so close to someone and so intimate with a project, and having that come together and being good. We could be, everything can be all fine and dandy when everything's going well. But, when it isn't, how do we show up and how do we get good at that repair? Because when we go down to the depth of who we are and how we want to show up for ourselves and for the other person, and we take a look at that and have you guys illustrate that and bring that forth on the deck to interwove all of that together, holy grail, right? I mean, this is, it makes me emotional to think about it.
I think Holy Grail is definitely a really good way of saying it. Like Lily and I are like, I think this is actually a part of our heart and soul inside of a box. Like there's no other way around it. It is. It's just...
Yeah. And I feel it. I feel it just having this radio show with you today is just the depth and not only the depth, but the opening that it has allowed, right? And to be able to see the beautifulness in every color, and then no color. and don't all. You get to have it all and nothing. And the yin yang and the paradigm of that, the duality of that is like, whoo, be in peace with duality is like, whoa. Mm-hmm. I can see how you girls have been able to do that. So, whoo, so good. So let's move on. So Lily, you described tarot as a visual language of the psyche and a map of the soul's journey. What aspects of challenge, transformation, and renewal felt most alive for you while creating these cards?
I think, again, probably the relational piece. I have such a intimate connection with spirit in my own channel. I have such an intimate connection with my own creativity and with my creation. And I've had creative babies previously to this one, but I've never managed to do it alongside another being. And as Blue so beautifully articulated, it's not always rainbows and butterflies experiencing that alongside another person, and having Blue as my best friend and my creative partner in this journey, and being able to be present for the difficult moments alongside her, and learning how to alchemize them with her, while simultaneously making the tarot card, or making the tower card within the tarot, while making the moon card within the tarot, which are these cards that speak to these inevitable challenges that arise when we're living deeply and truly. It really was the tarot coming to life and a deepening of my understanding of what it means to be human and sharing this human life in real relationships. So, and there was a tremendous humbling, I would say, in recognizing that this vision wasn't just mine, and that there was another person who had their own vision and their own channel, that had ideas that maybe I didn't quite understand, but then welcoming them in, and then together us creating a body of work that feels 100% authentic to myself, but I also couldn't have arrived at alone. So it's like, when you come together honestly and truly with another person, there's a third consciousness that arises, and kind of learning how to do that so consciously and authentically with Blue has been tremendous.
Did you take astrology and then Blue take tarot and then wire them together, or did you guys just set forth to do them together?
We just did them together. I would say Blue has a pretty solid relationship with astrology as well, previous to this tarot deck, and our understanding and our connection to astrology really fast tracked our connection to the tarot, because understanding the astrological correspondences with each of the cards, all of a sudden, everything starts to unlock itself. And I have a lot of Virgo in my chart, and there are very kind of nerdy academic books that speak into this connection that I am very happy to read myself. But for people that are interested in astrology and interested in tarot, but maybe don't want to go down those rabbit holes, there really isn't a deck that is available and accessible while simultaneously deep and accurate in this way. So I'm just so excited that we've created something that can introduce these two systems and how they speak to each other in a way that's fun and beautiful, and not just like black and white copy on a page in a textbook.
Until now. There isn't a deck until now. Oh my gosh. So great. So you guys are best friends and creative collaborators. what did each of you uniquely bring to the Heavenly Bodies Tarot that helped you guys call forth new bodies of intuition or symbolism? What did you guys uniquely bring to it?
Well, to name, I mean, you can probably, because this is a radio station, you can hear the frequencies of our voice. And I think that you can already tell the contrast of the difference between Lily and I, and just our personalities. So with that being said, there's either two hands and one heart, or there's two hearts and four hands, and ultimately that can either work for or against you depending on how synced you are. And we are blessed enough to be super synced, and so sometimes it felt like we had four hands and one heart moving through the tarot together, and yet simultaneously we brought such massive contrasting energies. Even just with the art, the way that Lily makes her art, it's pastels and it's like layered and it's a soft pencil and it's super detailed and slightly abstract. And mine is super realistic, like hyper realistic and harder brushstrokes and more like stronger colors. And so at the beginning, there was definitely like, how are we going to find our rhythm together? And what was funny was how complementary those creative styles are, because a pastel abstract background and then a beautiful lion's face right in the middle, it's super detailed animal. The way that they go hand in hand are so complementary. And then vice versa, I'll do a background and then she'll do the foreground. But the way that they work together, it creates depth and dimension and a dimension that we couldn't access when it was just us as individual artists. We didn't have that layered, dimensional, textured flavor that just appeared itself to us through our creation. And so once we got synced and once we got a routine, we were off to the races. And I am a very quick decision maker. It's immediately I know what my answer is. And Lily processes things in more of a contemplation. And so I'll be like, okay, something here. And she's like, hold on, let me sit with it. And then she'll sit with it. And she's like, I like it, And so we process differently. However, every micro decision, we have made a million micro decisions. Every micro decision has been an us, so we don't move forward. It's not someone dominating the space. It's not somebody else saying, but I like it and you need to not have that opinion. It's if we don't both sync and vibe with this, then it's a no. And that has required us to make sacrifices and to let go of our ego and to let go of tightly hold the vision of where it's going. But that is also us in relation to the third body of what Lily mentioned, is when you have a relationship, whether it's a creative partnership or if it's a romantic partnership, there is a third energy that then becomes a third body of the relationship. And us being in the surrender from my will to thy will, it allows the third body to also present itself to us through that artwork. So we both brought very complementary things, which really works out when you're making a deck together. And we look at that artwork and we're like, I never knew I was capable of this. And to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't have been capable of it if it wasn't for Lily. And I don't think Lily would have been capable of it if it wasn't for me. And that's the magic. That's the fate that sits behind this deck of how we even came together in the first place.
Wow. Lily, did you, when you completed one card and you held it up, did you both look at it and go, what the actual F, like this, like we did this, like, and then did that give you, so the first part is yes or no. And then the second part is, did that give you momentum to create the next?
Yeah, I mean, our process, we really passed each artwork back and forth between the two of us, and we didn't necessarily know what the finished piece was going to look like. So it was always a cool experience when I took a piece as far as I felt I could take it, and then I would hand it over to Blue, and she would add her layer of magic, and then all of a sudden it would be like, oh my God, like that's it, So it, like how Blue said earlier, the deck really, the artwork really revealed itself to us. And it was always an amazing moment when it reached completion, because it wasn't our own vision necessarily. It was something moving through us, through both of us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that right there is what's exquisite is when you take that piece of artwork, you're like, either you're frustrated, I can't take it anymore, or you're like, I'm done, I'm not adding more. And then you pass it off and you see what your best friend could do. Like, what else can you do to this? And then she adds her magic. And then you're like, whoa, you're mind blown
Yeah.
because you were at a gap stop or you were done. And then you're like, oh, and there's more, right?
That
So
happens
it's so
a
good.
lot. Like
Did that happen a lot?
Yeah, there was times where I was like, I don't know, what else to do here. And then she would do something and it would just come to life.
Did that happen to you, Blue? Did you have a stopgap in your art and you're like, I don't know what to do here, and you give it to Lily?
Oh, so much. Yeah.
Really?
Specifically like when it comes to technicals, I'm like, I cannot with this hand, Lily, do something with it. Like I have tried to draw this index finger 15 times and there's just like erasure.
Mhm.
And then she'll come up with something and it'll just look sensational and or add a flavor to it. And I'm like, thank goodness for you, because I would have had to throw that one out. That was driving me nuts. And then there was also times where we pass it back and forth, pass it back and forth, pass it back and forth, and then we'd be like, still looks like an inbred human. We need to let go of this one. We're gonna throw it out. Like it was just we'd spend 4 days on a piece of art. We could not get the face right, and it was just looking worse and worse and worse to the point where we just decided to start the art from scratch and spend another 4 days on building it again. And that was just the process.
Yeah, I've learned to produce first, judge later, right? Because all this stuff comes up in the middle of that, and you're like, woo, this is a lot. Did you girls go like this? Like, oh my goodness, that is such a fantastic piece of art where you guys like are patting each other on the back, like, you are a queen. Like, this is so good. Cause I could see that, like as best friends, you guys are doing art. You're like, oh my gosh, you guys just pumped out the best art in American history. Right. And then you're like, we're queens, keep going. Did that ever happen?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, we got pretty
we're each other type women. I'm a big words of affirmation girl, and Lily knows that, and she's really good at words of affirmation. So we have this sort of like a little inside joke where Lily doesn't need a lot of words of affirmation, and also Lily doesn't necessarily need like instant gratification of like, look how good this is. Like she can make like 10 years of work without anybody seeing it, and it's like the most exquisite, meticulous work. I, on the other hand, get halfway through drawing someone's face, and I'm like, look what I did, and then she's like, well done, Blue, it's amazing. And I needed a lot more validation than she did. However, we definitely were each other hype women and loved celebrating each other tremendously.
Yeah, I'm same Blue. I'm like, a quarter of the way in. I'm like, is this okay? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so good. Okay, so let's do for someone holding Heavenly Bodies Tarot for the first time, how would you invite them to approach it? As art, as an oracle, as a mirror, as a companion, as a teacher, as all of the above? How would you want them to approach this deck?
all of the above. I mean, I think we wrote a beautiful book, and the book explains how it works very articulately.
Okay.
However, I want to invite people to first and foremost empower themselves to connect with their own intuition and to recognize that the archetypes and the energies live within them already. They're not something separate and far away. And to realize that if you're human, you have all of these cards already energetically imprinted into your psyche and into your being. And I love the idea of someone connecting with the artwork on the cards and empowering themselves to consider what thoughts or realizations arise naturally just through looking at the imagery before reading the description. So yeah, I would say as a tool to connect with one's own intuitive channel would be my personal preference for how someone relates to the text.
That draws everybody in. Yeah, that feels great. Okay. So what kind of relationship you hope people develop with these cards over time?
I like the idea of like having a little pocket friend that is not ChatGPT. Um, there's something really special about the fact that every single time you ask a personal question, it's not being sold as data to massive corporations and feeding wars on the planet, basically, with your subscription. What we're looking at with AI, with specifically ChatGPT, and yet we're using ChatGPT as like a tarot deck or an oracle or a guide or an ally. What would it look like to have something that is 100% human made, that is also our friend and our ally, and through the law of attraction, aka you will always pull the card that's necessary for you in that moment. You can't pull the wrong card. And to ask a question, be intentional with it. You know, I'm really going through this thing with my partner or my lover, and I'm really wondering what is the energy underlining my reactive response that is at play here, so that I can actually just get to know myself even better, and then feel into whatever card you want to pull, and pull the card and see what the message is, see what the artwork says. How does that make you feel inside of your body? And it give you the opportunity to take personal responsibility, and then partner it with a prayer that has been written so that you can sit in a quiet space, in your sacred space, light a candle, be in silence, and just say the prayer to yourself, and open up for clarity, for guidance. And the beautiful thing and the difference about a deck and a book is you read a book, you finish it, maybe, if our attention span lasts long enough these days, and then we put it on the shelf and we never touch it again. But the thing with a deck is it becomes a friend, it becomes an ally, it becomes a guide in times where we don't have clarity. And it's an opportunity for us to meet a deeper part of ourselves and ask difficult questions sometimes, but to take personal responsibility. And so a friend, an ally, at the end of my opening letter, I said, I'm so grateful to be your little pocket ally from now on, for these words. Even if we're asleep, it's got its own energy now. It doesn't require us to actively be sitting there with you. And it can go in the hands and the hearts of those individuals that feel a call to this work. And like we've said, and we've continued to reiterate, the magic lies within you. And the power here is the ability to self-reflect. And it's a tool to support us to self-reflect, so we have a deeper level of self-awareness and we cause less harm in the world.
Mm. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. So good. So good. Do you see this deck especially resonant for people in seasons of change or grief or awakening or self-reinvention? Is this deck resonant with any of those type people, or is it a deck for everyone?
I mean, I think it's for everyone, but it's absolutely, yeah, I mean, I think part of our love and affinity for the tarot and the hero's journey is, like I shared earlier, is remembering that periods of transition and periods of difficulty are a natural part of shedding what is no longer serving, so that we can be reborn into something truer and higher. And so absolutely, when someone is moving through transition and challenge, this is there are really difficult cards in the tarot, in the system of the tarot, and we made a conscious effort to talk about and honor the challenges presented by the difficult cards, but to also speak about the alchemy available on the other side of them. So that, there's always cards that you feel a little bit put off when you pull. And when we made a special effort to reveal the alchemy that's available through every challenge. And I think that'll be very supportive for people that are moving through change.
I'm especially interested in how you came up with the name, because it is in the intersection of astrology and tarot, and you call it the Heavenly Bodies Tarot. You could have called it the Heavenly Bodies, astrology deck. How did you come up with the name?
Well, so I have a deck previously made and published to this one, and that is Heavenly Bodies Astrology. So that Heavenly Bodies name is something I came up with that initial deck. Because I think of the planets as heavenly bodies. I think of our bodies, our physical vessels as heavenly bodies. As anything physical is the spiritual incarnate. And so that's how heavenly bodies came to be. But, astrology is a very ethereal language. It's in the cosmos, and even the aesthetic of that deck is very pastel and light and angelic, and it's in that realm. Whereas the tarot, it kind of anchors those energies into form and into embodied, lived human experience. And the artwork for this deck is much more vibrant and alive and grounded in some ways. And I love it wasn't intentional, but I love what that does to the name Heavenly Bodies, because it's kind of the body part. The astrology deck is the heavenly part, and the tarot feels like the body counterpart of that name.
Oh, I love having that context.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've invited the listeners into this. Like, I am lit up. I'm so excited for the world to get this. How are our listeners going to find you two ladies? How are they going to get this deck? Where can we go to buy? I want them right now. I need instant gratification, Blue. But I know, where can they go and buy and support and invest in this deck for themselves?
So currently we have the deck available on Amazon. So you can type in Heavenly Bodies Tarot, Tarot. And that's where you can sort of purchase your own deck. And then in addition to that, you can follow us on social media. We have Instagram, and I'm pretty active on there. I'm a little bit more of a mouthpiece than Lily is sometimes on social media. However, we're both pretty active on there. She shares really magical insights, and she is at Lily Ashwell, Ashwell, and I am Blue at Blue of Earth, which is BLU without an E, BLU of Earth. And we'll be showing also our updates there, and super active on those pages and showing more about the world of Heavenly Bodies Tarot. And then all of our links are in our bio and our websites, at www.blueoferarth.com. And Lily, your website is lilyashwell.com.
Mm-hmm.
www.lilyashwell.com, and there you have it.
Very awesome. Okay, let's do one more. If the deck could speak one message to the collective right now, what would it say?
Who wants to go first, Blue or Lily?
Blue.
Okay. If the deck was to speak one thing right now, what would it say? There's a tremendous amount of anger and projections in the world right now, and we are taking what we are seeing on the collective scale, on a global scale, and it is feeding a level of division that lives inside of our words, that lives inside of our hearts, and that lives inside of our perceptions, and it's making our neighbors seem like the enemy. And there's a very strong invitation right now to not believe the divisive narrative and to actually send our energy inwards, to actually look at where am I perpetuating the problem. And so it is a tool for self-awareness, for us to be able to actually be part of the solution, not perpetuating the problem unconsciously. And so the deck would be saying, this is an invitation. Let me be a guide for you inward so that you can cause less harm and more beauty with the life that you've been given.
Lily?
I'll share a quote that we actually included in the deck. It's an original quote, which is, "The goal is not to predict the future, but to be present enough to meet it." So the tarot is an invitation into deeper presence and trusting in the present moment, whether it's challenging, scary, unexpected, that to be here now is where the medicine really lies.
Awesome. And there you have it, folks. We have Lily Ashwell and Blue of Earth bringing us their magical medicine to this planet, the whole Heavenly Bodies Tarot deck. Get it today. Thanks for being on the show. Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining Tisha Marie Cain for Beyond Mindset Limits. Tune in every Wednesday at 4 p.m. as the conversation continues around mindset, legal insight, and publishing as a strategic tool for business positioning. Visit TishaMarieCain.com or CainsLegalSupport.com for more information or to schedule your private appointment.